Hey everyone, Emma here, also known as 8vinyllow, bringing you all another video. Today's video is going to be my response to the 2023 vinyl tag, The Youngest Members of the VC edition. This is something that the youngest members of the VC, which consists of myself, Dylan over at the Record Spinner, Marichen at Marichen's Music, and Jenna over at Spins and Needles. This is something that we started last year as kind of a response to all of the, it started as a joke, it was a response to all the different vinyl tags that popped up last year. There were metal tags, blues tags, a variety of different just general vinyl tags, and so as a joke last year we decided to compile a bunch of questions from our group and our friendship and put a response out there, and it ended up getting a pretty good reception, and some of you even jumped in on it. So we decided that it would be fun to participate and partake in a vinyl tag this year, as well as create our own prompts. So again, this is the youngest members of the VC edition, a response to the vinyl tags that are out there, and let's get started. Kicking off with number 1, show a St. Louis related record. So this is related to the last trip that the youngest members of the VC took last summer in St. Louis, the year before we went to Nashville. And so of course we had to add this in there, and I have to show the pride and joy of the St. Louis music scene. We're going with Mr. Chuck Berry. This is a compilation album, The Great 28, with some of his hit songs on here. You have Roll Over Beethoven, you have Rock and Roll Music, Maybelline, 30 Days, Too Much Monkey Business, and so on. So a really solid compilation. This is the only Chuck Berry that I have, but really solid compilation. And what was really neat, when we were in St. Louis, there was a beautiful mural painted on the side of a record store there called Vintage Vinyl, which I'll kind of insert a picture here so you can see it. So if you're ever in St. Louis, of course you have to check out Vintage Vinyl. Go check out the mural, take a picture with it. I also think that there was a statue somewhere, but we didn't have an opportunity to go see it. But we have to go with, if we're talking about St. Louis, Mr. Chuck Berry. Number 2, show an album that starts with an N. The reason why this is on here is because this year's trip, the youngest members of the VC, our annual trip this summer, the place that we are going to has the letter N in its name. So I'm going to let you start guessing down in the comments below. But this was the first one that came to mind. I absolutely love this album, love this artist, but of course this album is one of my favorites from him, definitely top 3. We're going with New Values by Iggy Pop. This was 1979, produced by James Williamson. Really solid Iggy Pop release when you consider his very large catalog, but of course has New Values on here. Girls, I'm Bored, which I adore that song. Side 2, 5'1", Angel, Curiosity, Bill is a Runaway, and on and on. So number 2, New Values. Number 3, where would you want the youngest members of the VC to visit? So on our annual trips, where would you like to see us travel to? I know that Dylan said London, and I would have to agree with him. If we could find a way to make that work, traveling to London, England would definitely be one of my top choices as well. But if we're just considering what probably could get done within the next year or 2 years or even next year, I would love to travel to somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I would love to go to Seattle. I think that the music scene, and of course you got the grunge connection, and I think Seattle would be a blast. I would also love to go to the East Coast. I haven't really been there. I think that would be interesting to kind of see as well and go digging around there. I know Dylan's from New Jersey, so that could also be a place I would love to go. So really anywhere, as long as I'm with those guys, I'm happy. But that's my number 3. Number 4, what is your favorite summer road trip album? This has to be one of my favorites. This is an album, I can't remember if I picked it up last year or the year before, but I got on a major Feelies kick. I'll show the album. The Feelies, The Good Earth. This is like the authority of all road trip albums. So that's kind of cliche, but it's true. It's a great album to listen to on a long drive. The Feelies is a band with crazy rhythms that, for whatever reason, I was just playing that album over and over again last year, especially like at the beginning of last year. And so I ended up picking up The Good Earth. Streamed this before, but I hadn't listened to the entire thing until I grabbed this release, and yeah, for sure, we just ended up going to Kentucky. That'll be in another video, but this was definitely getting played. So the Feelies, the Good Earth, a cliche top road trip album, but just so good, so true, so accurate. Number 5, Best New Music Discovery from 2022. This was a band that I had discovered in an album that I discovered right at the end of 2022. This was VCLT from Legendary Jim, and the album is from Foxhall Stack's The Coming Collapse, a debut album from Washington, D.C. power pop powerhouse supergroup, featuring a great lineup of individuals with Jawbox, Burning Airlines, Velocity Girl, Minor Threat, Bad Religion, Government Issue on their resume. I'll let you look at the hype sticker there, and then I'll let you see who I'm talking about here on the back. What an awesome album. It has obviously that elements of power pop, which I absolutely adore, and then it also has a little bit of like post-punk in there. I don't know, it was so good. I was listening to this. I had never heard of it before. I think this is the only album that they put out. I don't even know if they are still releasing music. I haven't really seen anything. But when I put this on, literally from front to back, I was just having so much fun with it. So I highly recommend this. If you're into power pop, you will love this album, but just so good. So Foxhall Stacks, thank you, Jim, for introducing me to this album. Number 6, show an album with an animal on the cover. I am going with Hold On, I'm Coming, Sam and Dave, and we are going with a turtle. Number 7, show a favorite album with cheap or trick in the title. Dirty Deeds, Done Dirt Cheap. I was gonna sing it, but we don't need that. 8, an album that gives me nostalgia. I have to go with the Ides Essentials, the Ides of March. This is the first CD that I ever owned. You guys know my Ides of March story. I won't really get into it. Great band from Chicago that really launched me into my love of music and music discovery and things like that. But this was the first CD that I remember owning. I still have this in my collection. The case is all beat up and scratched up. I have it signed here by all the original members. But yeah, this is my first musical love ever, the Ides of March, first CD I ever owned, and I played the living crap out of this thing for years. So definitely nostalgic to me and very important in terms of my musical journey. For Dylan, it's Kissin' time. Show a Kiss record. This is the only Kiss record in my collection, and it came from Dylan. Kiss, Love Gun. Number 10, show a favorite colored vinyl pressing. I always thought that this one was super cool. This was a Record Store Day release, live at the Monterey International Pop Festival, The Who, a quick one live, which is absolutely awesome, by the way. But it comes on this tri-color vinyl. Always thought that this looked really cool. Number 11, show your favorite 7-inch that's in your collection. I have to go with this radio station copy of Fuse, Cruisin' for Burgers, and Hound Dog. I've shared this story before, but real quickly, this does have a Cheap Trick connection. Fuse is a band that Rick Nielsen and Tom Peterson of Cheap Trick, the band that they were in before the formation of Cheap Trick, one of the bands that they were in. A Grail 7-inch for me would be the Grim Reapers, which was the band, what they were called before they changed their name to Fuse. They do have this same kind of 45, but by the Grim Reapers and not Fuse. So that would be like a Grail 7-inch, but for now, favorite 7-inch is definitely this radio station copy. Number 12, an album you got out of state. This was a pickup in Nashville, Third Man Records in Nashville. This is the reissue that was put out by Third Man of Electric Mud, which in my opinion is hands down the best sounding Electric Mud copy that you can possibly get. This is Muddy Waters trying to fit into the psychedelic scene of the time. So really unique record. People either love it or hate it, but I think it's awesome. And again, this is the best sounding pressing of this album in my opinion, outside of probably a pristine original that you can get. So Third Man definitely did a great job. Came directly from Nashville. Show a bootleg. This is the newest addition to my bootleg collection, my Cheap Trick bootleg collection. I just showed this in my previous video. This is Cheap Trick, Trick or Treat. I could have shown a handful of different Cheap Trick bootlegs. that I have, but we're gonna go with this one since this is my newest one. Again, quick shout out to Marichen and Mellow Mats for getting this into my hands. 14, the perfect winter album. There is no album that I would rather be listening to on a freezing cold night than this beautiful masterpiece release. Bert Jansch, John Renborn, so good. Number 15, a favorite album from an Illinois band and or artist. I could choose a million different things. Of course, I could choose Cheap Trick, but for the sake of changing things up, another band that I love, hailing from the 60s garage rock Chicago scene, music scene. We're gonna go with the Buckinghams, Time and Charges. This was actually, fun fact, and I've said this before, but a new fact for those who are new to the channel, this was the first vinyl record that I ever owned. So this is my good copy, okay? This was the first vinyl record that I ever owned. I got this when I was 10 years old. I didn't even have a record player yet. I didn't even really understand what this was. But growing up with the Ides of March and the Buckinghams as a kid, when I saw this was at like a library sale. And thank you, Shelly. But this was at a library sale at my local library. For like 50 cents, I got this. Like I said, it's beat up. The cover is completely ripped to shreds, but I've kept this over the years, and I'm so happy I did because it just brings back a lot of great memories. But the Buckinghams, yes, another favorite Illinois band that's not Cheap Trick or Ides of March, something that I've shown on here, so great band. Number 16, an album from a friend. Could have picked a lot of different ones, but I'm gonna go with Robert Cray, Strong Persuader, an album that has grown into probably my top 100 favorite albums of all time over the last few years. This was gifted to me when I first started making videos, when I first joined the vinyl community from my buddy Jeff Kempen. He sent me this album. I knew one song off of here, which was Strong Persuader, but I didn't really know anything else. And I have grown to love this album, love Robert Cray. I actually saw Robert Cray live front row with Jeff and his wife, and it was an amazing experience. Got guitar picks and all that fun stuff, so really awesome night. But yes, this definitely had a huge impact on me, so thank you again, Jeff, for sending this my way. Number 17, show a favorite reissue from 2022. This is an April 2022 Record Store Day release reissue put out by Fire Records, and it's from one of my favorite bands and is one of my favorite albums from this band. This album is so good, and I'm so happy to get a proper reissue of this. Fire Records does a great job with this band. The Groundhogs, one of the most underrated bands in my opinion. Hogwash, and one of my favorite bands of all time for sure. Hogwash, 1972. Tony T.S. McPhee just tearing it up on the guitar, one of the best guitarists in the game for sure. And if you like blues rock, progressive rock, psychedelic, I mean, it has elements of all that stuff, even like spacey type stuff. This album's just so good. So favorite reissue of 2022, hands down. Number 18, an album that you didn't expect to love so much from a band or artist you normally don't listen to. So I am not big on the country or alt country scene, but this is definitely a band that I have come to really enjoy and appreciate. And this album, this was from 2021. Again, shout out to John at the Digital Gramophone for kind of getting me into them. But this is Sunvolt's release, again, 2021, Electro Melodier. What a phenomenal album from this band. Sunvolt, Uncle Tupelo, that sort of connection, even an Illinois connection. But Reverie, Arcade Blue, The Globe, Diamonds and Cigarettes, Lucky Ones is so good. War on Misery, Living in the USA, Some Days Now, Sweet Refrain, Levy is Down, I'm Down. Just so good. I have grown to absolutely, like I said, love and appreciate this band, and this album is one that I definitely go to a lot. Number 19, an album that reminds you of a best friend. I'm not going to choose an album, but I am going to choose a song that reminds me of Marichen, Dylan, and Jenna, and that trip to St. Louis that we took. And every time I listen to this song, I have to stop what I'm doing and just jam out to it. It's an amazing song in general, but I have that much more of a connection to this song now because of that St. Louis trip. So the album itself is You Can Tune a Piano But You Can't Tune a Fish by a great Illinois band, REO Speedwagon, and the song that just reminds me of those guys that I love so much is Roll With the Changes. Last question, question 20, an album that transport you musically. This is an album, for whatever reason, I think it's just because of the connection that I have with it, I'm not quite sure, but for whatever reason, I mean, it's a phenomenal album, very important album in music, but for whatever reason, this is the album, when I'm putting it on, I have to be in the right mindset for it, I have to make sure there are no distractions, and I will listen to this album front to back, without question. There's going to be nothing that takes me away from this album when I put it on. And that is one of my all-time favorites, Blues Breakers, John Mayall's Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton, the Beano album. Right when that first guitar comes in on that opening track, All Your Love, right when that goes on, I'm gone. So had to go with this one. That's it. 2023 youngest members of the VC vinyl tag. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about some of these responses, and definitely let me know if you plan on participating and or you put a video up. I would love to check it out. But with that, everybody, that is it for this video. I hope that all of you had a great start to the new year, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye, guys.